A rumor about Pallavi Patel, a quintessential middle-aged devoted housewife who is famous for her dance and cooking, threatens to disrupt her middle-class family on the eve of her son Taja's engagement with a rich NRI girl, directed by Anand Tiwari. Before I get stuck in, look out for some interesting facts on India and its gay rights. As is always the way, before I had been given this film to watch, I hadn't seen any marketing for it, but now that I've seen the movie, I see the marketing everywhere. It's like Google is watching. However, if you're new here, don't forget to kick the like button, shout at the subscribe button, and do a backflip on the bell. You're probably asking yourself, where can I watch this? I have not even heard about the title Maja until you start looking at the marketing, and then you'll see it everywhere like I did. You can watch this on Amazon. It's classed as an original. It's also age restricted and 18, at least with the information that I got. It said nobody under the age of 18 is allowed to watch this. On the actual poster it says 16 plus, and we'll get back into that later on when we're talking about the story and the contents within. Putting that all aside, Maja is over 2 hours long. It does feel a bit heavy in the tooth in the middle there. Its original language is Hindi, and I had to read the subtitles very quickly. This is a dialogue heavy movie. Struggle to read subtitles. There are definitely going to be parts where you're going to have to be quick, and if it's first thing in the morning and your eyes are tired and drooping, this may not be the film to watch first thing in the morning. Let's get into the interesting fact number 1. If you are gay in India, you are not allowed to donate blood ever. The movie, the filmmaking, and the cinematography. Of course, there are a number of dance numbers. They fit into the story and arc of the movie and actual arc of the main character, so they are not just there for the sake of it. It is a very good looking film. The color palette is bright when needed to showcase the culture, and the shot selection is creative, so you always see what is happening and you feel like you're a part of the conversations when the conversations are personal. If there is a part of a movie that's going to feel heavy, it's normally the middle, and that is the case with Maja. It gets a bit waylaid by its message and storytelling. Talking of which, let's talk about the story and the message. At first glance, this film is about two different classes, the rich family and the rich daughter meeting the middle class family. It is a Bollywood story that we've seen hundreds of times, but that is just the setup for the meat of the story, which is all about Pallavi, who is a devoted housewife and loving mother. She is for all sense and purposes perfect, but she holds a secret that will affect not just her family but her whole community. She likes women, not men. And here we come back to the age restriction of the movie. You had to be 18 to watch it, the screener at least for press. The poster itself is a 16 plus, which gives you an idea of the more demographic that they think this is aimed at, and that's because of the themes within the movie. There is nothing in this movie that actually warrants the age restriction, maybe a 12 or 13, but certainly not a 16. I also had to go and check what was allowed in India in terms of LGBT. I have to say I was surprised. I've been told by my Indian friends that you would end up in jail if you were openly gay. At least that was the case up until 2018. The law has changed since, and I'm glad that it has, and the change is fairly new. Hence the reason for this film, I guess. There are some things that need to be spoken about openly, and this is one of them. Interesting fact number 2, if you're gay and want to adopt, you have to be single. Let's talk about the performances. The American Indian couple, that is the second family, the rich family. Their dialogue scenes are quite hammy and cheesy and will often let this movie down, because the film 100% is carried by Pallavi Patel, who's played by Madhuri Dixit. Her acting is often understated and boils under the surface, or she eventually bursts out and speaks with passion on what is going on in her heart, but she doesn't do this often enough. Her exploration of how being a lesbian affects her relationship with her son is emotional to watch on screen. This is the same with each relationship. This is where the weight of the film is. Whenever there's a Bollywood type film that has a message and it gets too heavy, there is this levity that sometimes misdirects the message that is going on, which is a little bit disappointing because the message feels very important, but it also feels preachy a lot of the time. So you have this balancing act that is very hard to do with this type of central core premise, because the premise is about this mother trying to explore who she is in a culture that's basically being, you could be sent to jail for even mentioning that these are your thoughts. But now that the law is changed, suddenly we have this conversation within this film that is represented here, and it often is emotional and heartfelt. But then on the other side of this movie, we have this American couple who play the almost like a slapstick comedy couple. Their dialogue is for the most part trudge-worthy. Basically, you have to trudge through it to get to the good parts. There is some redemption in some dialogue later on in the latter half of the movie with them, But for the first half, you do kind of have to sift through the rom-com style of the 100 movies that we've had done before like this. When we start getting into the meat of the movie, that's where this film shines, with our major protagonist holding your core focus. She is the one that has all the emotional moments understated on her face. You want her to be more outbursty in moments where she's like, how? I've been living this life for so long, but she doesn't actually get to do that for the most part, because if she does, she puts her family and her community in danger. It just is that way, even though the law has changed. So it's shining a light on, let's have all these rules and laws, but it does feel a bit weird that there are all these laws, according to the internet at least, and they're showcasing people, advocating we need to have these rules and laws. I'm not so sure what the laws are and whether this film still knows what the laws are. I would love to know if you are an Indian in India and you are gay or know people that are gay, what are the actual rules? Does it reflect what's in this film, or are people still very much having to hide who they are? Interesting fact number 3, out of 119 regions surveyed, 43% are accepted of gay couples and 26% are not. So my final thoughts. There is a lot of heart in this film, wrapped up in a rom-com with a message that is very important for Indian culture right now. I can't help but think there'll be massive backlash to this content, which is probably the reason for the age restriction. But as a reviewer, I'm here to talk about whether you should watch this movie and whether you will find it engaging or boring. It is engaging, it does lag in the middle, and some storylines do not need as much screen time as they have received, as that is not essentially what movie's message is about. Bearing that in mind, I'm giving Maja 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5. During this review, if you saw my eyes teeter off to the left or to the right, however you're watching this, and you're like, why isn't he staring at the camera? Damn it, Ruben, I need your focus 100%. You had my focus, but I wrote up a lot of notes for this one because I wanted to get it accurate, because I felt like message within this film was important, but it was hard to do because the movie is all about the message. So it's an interesting film. It does have a message. It is preachy at times. The filmmaking is well done. It is a good looking film. The soundtrack and the score, the Bollywoodness is all there. The rom-com is still there if that's what you're going in for. The message of the film is held by a protagonist who gives some incredible performances. So it's like two movies. You've got to decide which one you want to enjoy. Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.